Hello, and welcome to Sleep With Me, a place where the past's deepest shadows meet the quiet of the night. Before we begin, please take a moment. In the comments below, tell me where you're listening from and what time you've pressed play. Your fellow travelers in history would love to know. Tonight, we embark on a journey through the mist-shrouded streets of medieval London, where disease and dread walked hand in hand, and where the line between life and legend blurred in the fog. Over 5 segments, we will blend historical fact with haunting tales, each delivered in a calm, measured voice designed to soothe your mind even as we tread into darker corners of our shared past. Let your breathing slow and imagine the hush of candlelit alleyways, the distant clatter of wooden carts, and the hush of cloisters turning from prayer to watchful silence. Now, find your most comfortable position, perhaps with a soft blanket and a warm drink, and let the quiet weight of history settle around you like a gentle cloak. When you're ready, we begin. Our story opens in the spring of 1347. Picture the harbor of Kaffa on the Crimean coast. Salt-misted sea air, gull cries echoing across stone quays, and merchant ships unloading bales of silk and grain. Unseen among the cargo lurked rats, their fur mottled by flecks of black and brown. Within weeks, sailors fell ill, swollen lymph nodes beneath their arms and jaws, fevers that wrenched sleep from their eyes. As you breathe in slowly now, imagine yourself at the dockside, the tang of brine on your tongue, the soft creak of rigging overhead, and the distant hum of foreign tongues. No one yet knows that these rats carry a shadow, Yersinia pestis, the plague bacillus, capable of unleashing devastation across continents. By summer, Genoese traders desperate to escape the dying put to sea for Italian ports. Venice, Pisa, and Genoa soon report alarming death tolls. Picture narrow streets lined with wheelbarrows slowly wheeling away the dead, their handles worn smooth by countless palms. Each pause of the wheel echoes like a heartbeat faltering. In late 1348, the disease arrives in England. Imagine a cold November dusk as a merchant ship grinds to anchor on the Thames. Londoners watch from the quayside, black-clad forms under lantern glow, as diseased sailors are hurried ashore, their breaths ragged, their eyes glazed. Within days, the illness reaches Southwark Borough. The first English victims claim their small lives in humble cottages and modest inns alike. In an age before germ theory, explanations weave between the sacred and the celestial. Scholars pore over astrological charts, noting a rare conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter. Plague doctors don beaked masks stuffed with aromatic herbs, convinced that miasma, poisoned air, carries the contagion. Imagine the soft rustle of waxed fabric as they move through deserted lanes, lanterns hallowing their forms in the night. Yet as bodies pile higher, official record keepers pause between entries. John Smith, Burr, April 12th. The parish clerk's quill hovers, ink pooling like a dark tear on parchment. Over 12 months, perhaps a third of England's population will perish. Neighbors vanish, entire families silent forever. Drifting through the plague-ridden streets, you would see shuttered windows, boards hammered across doors, and crosses painted in red on walls to warn passers-by. The great cathedral bells toll continuously, a somber counterpoint to the wail of survivors. By candlelight, scribes compile the Black Book of the Dead, a ledger of loss that stretches for pages unending. In this hush before the storm's eye, the fabric of medieval life strains. Guilds falter as artisans die. Fields lie fallow when peasants succumb. In mansions off Cheapside, lords and ladies retreat behind high walls, while just beyond, the destitute gather for handouts of stale bread and broth. Pause now and sense the weight of these first whispers of horror, how a silent organism could reshape a world. Feel your chest rise and fall in measured rhythm, matching the slow cadence of our narrative. In moments, we will step deeper into the heart of panic itself, exploring how fear spread even faster than the disease, and how Londoners fought to reclaim their lives. As the contagion tightened its grip on London, fear spread in tandem, an invisible co-traveler magnifying every shadow. By winter's chill, each dawn carried fresh dread. Who would live until nightfall, and who would never see sunrise again? Imagine a dim alley where lamplight pools on glistening cobblestones. A solitary figure, perhaps, a vintner's apprentice pauses, hand on a hastily placed red cross. These crosses mark houses where the plague has struck, and inside, inhabitants are forbidden to exit. A bell tinkles at the corner as a pail of broth is lowered from a window by a single rope. Tradesmen at the next block hurry past, glancing uneasily at the silent abode. City officials, known as searchers, conduct grim door-to-door inspections. They wear no protective gear, only gloves varnished in tar, and carry long poles to prod bodies within. Their reports, written on scraps of scrap parchment, tally the living and the dead in curt, clinical strokes. House of John Carter, 4 deaths. Total this week, 183. Each entry is a ledger of tragedy, its numbers rising like a relentless tide. In the face of mounting loss, many fled the city's narrow confines. Imagine the thud of carriage wheels on muddy lanes, leading out of town well-to-do families, bundled in heavy cloaks, hampered by snow in early December. They carry trunks of silverware and barrels of cured meat, expecting safe refuge in country estates. But rural matters quiet under blankets of frost, or ill-prepared for sudden influxes. Estate cooks scrambled to feed dozens of new mouths. Cellars of ale dwindled faster than usual. Local villagers, already wary of travelers, kept their distance, leaving gates locked and dogs barking through the night. Meanwhile, those who remained faced strict lockdowns, one of the first recorded instances. Doors were sealed with royal orders, and militia stood guard to prevent unauthorized exit. In one parish, a lone fiddler is said to have played for days from his window, the mournful tune winding through deserted lanes, offering solace amid confinement. Fear, unchecked, turned inward towards scapegoats and suspicion. In hushed marketplaces, rumors swirled. Foreign merchants poisoning wells, lepers cursed touch, and Jews long distrusted alleged to spread disease like a bad dream. In Southwark, a patrol intercepts a ragged crowd near Old Bridewell Prison. Shouts rise, burn the strangers. Lanterns are rigged on poles as makeshift torches. City watchmen step between the angry mob and innocent bystanders, their halberds glinting under torchlight. A tense hush falls before tempers cool and magistrates arrive to disperse the crowd with firm edicts. Though the outbreak itself was indifferent to creed or class, mankind's ancient habit of finding a culprit proved harder to restrain than any contagion. Yet amid turmoil, quiet kindness endured. Monastic orders reopened infirmaries, offering straw-laden wards scented with herbs to comfort the feverish. Imagine a gentle sister of mercy, her habit patched and worn holding a lantern, as she guides a delirious patient to a hammock. She murmurs passages of scripture, her voice calm as falling snow. Volunteer Bible men, commoners appointed by the church, carry psalters and loaves of bread to locked houses. Under cover of night, they slip them through window cracks, their silhouettes flickering past curtains like specters of hope. Their whispered prayer, "Fear not, for you are not forgotten," ripples through the darkness, a soft counterpoint to the tolling bells. In these months of dread and isolation, London's heart, though bruised, continued to beat. Fear has many faces, but so does courage. Take a deep, even breath now, and let the memory of flickering lanterns and whispered prayers settle like a balm over your mind. In our next segment, we will delve into ghosts in the gutter, recounting haunted tales born of sorrow and superstition along the Thames. When plague's first horror faded, another kind of chill took hold, stories of restless spirits lingering by the river and in moonlit alleyways. Tonight, we wander past shuttered doorways and along the fog-wreathed banks of the Yonkin, Thames, to hear the whispers of souls who would not rest. Picture a damp autumn evening. The Thames flows sluggish and dark, its surface mottled by drifting leaves and oil-slick reflections of gas lanterns. Fishermen push flatboats from battered wharves. The rat-tat of oars echoes like distant Morse. Beneath the water's ripples lie hastily dug plague pits, and some say the dead stir in their muddy beds beneath the tide. As you walk the embankment in your mind's eye, you might glimpse a pale figure in 18th century garb, face obscured by a veiled bonnet, gliding atop the water. She drifts without sound, her outline wavering, beckoning the unwary closer. Mariners clutch their lanterns tighter, wary of a phantom known as the Weeper of Wapping, said to wail whenever a fresh cargo of corpses is ferried for burial. Not far away, Tower Hill stands silent under the moon's cool gaze. Here, where crowded streets once bore witness to public executions, locals still speak of a lady in mourning. Cloaked in black crape, she appears each All Hallows Eve, drifting along the scaffold stones, her veil billowing though no wind stirs. According to legend, she was the wife of a condemned man, brought to the block on suspicion of harboring the plague. She watched him die, voice choked by tears, and then vanished into the night. Now, centuries later, she returns to retrace his final steps. Some say, if you meet her gaze, you hear a single whispered plea: remember me. In a quiet graveyard behind St. Mary's, marble tombstones tilt among brambles. Here lie hundreds of children, tiny graves marked only by wooden crosses. On certain fog-bound nights, villagers say they hear the soft patter of small feet and catch lullabies carried on the breeze. One tale tells of a nursemaid who lingered too long, her lantern guttering to reveal small handprints etched in frost on the church gate. She fled, breath ragged, convinced she had been beckoned by tiny souls yearning for rhyme. A melody, half-remembered lines of a nursery rhyme, haunts the old stones ever after. On Windmill Hill, the old bell tower tolls long after all lawful hours. The bellman, once a watcher against fire, is said to patrol the ramparts each midnight, though no living man has climbed the stairs in generations. Locals claim that when the moon is full, the deep bronze bell rings on its own, summoning a silent procession of plague doctors in beaked masks. They march at dawn's edge toward the city gates, then vanish at first light. Some scholars suggest these are merely echoes of a collective memory, yet the sound is so clear that listeners feel their pulse slow in time with each measured toll. These spectral tales, born of grief, fear, and unquiet ground, remind us that history's shadows linger in more than records. They dwell in our imaginations, in the spaces between breath and silence. Now, let your breath settle like mist on the riverbank, and draw comfort from the knowledge that these stories are gentle echoes, meant to soothe rather than startle. Ahead lies our fourth segment, Rituals and Remedies, where faith and superstition entwine in a quest for safety. In the wake of plague and phantom tales, Londoners turn to both sacred rites and curious folk cures, searching for balm to soothe body and spirit. Let us now wander into the quiet chambers of prayer and the shadowed corners of apothecaries, where hope took many forms. Imagine a modest herb shop nestled off Paternoster Row, its shelves lined with earthenware jars and dried roots hanging from rafters. Customers arrive clutching velvet pouches, each seeking a secret recipe. A shopkeeper lifts inverted snails to bathe in rosewater, murmuring that their mucus, boiled down, can staunch bleeding. Another hands over tiny vials of powdered mouse's ear, believed to draw out poison. These folk remedies, passed from mother to daughter, offered tangible action against an unseen enemy. Though untested by learned physician, they carried the weight of ancestral trust, a whisper of relief in desperate times. Not all cures lay in mortar and pestle. In the grand nave of St. Paul's Cathedral, congregations gathered for plague sermons, solemn services invoking divine mercy. Imagine the hush as a bishop's voice intones prayers for deliverance, the scent of incense curling through vaulted arches. Parishioners took home blessed water, dipping cloth strips to bind their heads or wrists. Even the crown issued proclamations calling for days of fasting and public penance. Town criers delivered edicts on market days. Let citizens assemble in peace, bearing no malice, that God's wrath may be turned aside. In these ritual observances, faith became both shield and salve. In the bustling precincts of Cheapside, apothecaries displayed trays of violet petals, jujube berries, and cinnamon sticks. For bubo, those swollen lymph nodes, physicians recommended poultices of fine mustard seed and bread dough, applied warm to the skin. Picture a patient reclined on a wooden bench, cloak riding back as a gentle hand spreads a thin layer of poultice. The aroma of mustard mingles with that of freshly baked bread, the warmth seeping into the skin. Though the efficacy was limited, the act itself, of care and human touch, offered comfort when very little else could. At times, fear led to more peculiar rites. In some parishes, people carried plague stones, chunks of chalk marked with crosses. They believed that touching these stones at crossroads could ward off contagion. Others drank small measures of mercury-laced elixirs, convinced it would purge the body of toxins, an action now known to be more harmful than healing. On Halloween night, families would leave bowls of milk at doorsteps, offering refreshments to wandering spirits. The milk, they said, would appease restless souls and prevent them from seeking more drastic form of sustenance. Though rooted in superstition, these gestures wove community bonds amid fear. Through prayers in vast cathedrals and humble poultices in shadowed stalls, London sought to heal both flesh and soul. Some cures eased pain, others brought fleeting hope. All reflected the timeless human impulse to act when faced with the unknowable. In our final segment, Echoes Through Time, we will trace how these medieval horrors and remedies shaped our modern world, reminding us that even in darkness, the light of resilience endures. Centuries have passed since the Black Death first shadowed medieval streets, yet its lessons ripple into our lives today. In this final chapter, we trace how fear, resilience, and the search for cures shaped not only London's history, but the world we inhabit now. Imagine the plague doctor's beaked mask, once a symbol of desperate hope, evolving over generations into the white coats and surgical masks of modern medicine. The notion that disease could be carried unseen prompted the first quarantines, precursors to today as public health measures. We still speak of social distancing and self-isolation, echoing the boarded-up houses of 1348. And just as medieval clergy held prayer services, our communities unite, sometimes virtually, to find comfort in shared ritual. Stroll in your mind through the narrow alleys of the city, now replaced by grand boulevards and stately town squares designed after the Great Fire of 1666. These wider streets, conceived to prevent another conflagration, also serve to usher fresh air, an early understanding of disease prevention. Monuments like the Pestis Column in Vienna or Britain's Plague crosses stand as silent sentinels, reminders of loss and symbols of communal survival. In parks where once lay mass graves, children now play, their laughter a testament to life's enduring promise. The specter of death and the need to explain the inexplicable inspired profound works of art and literature. From Boccaccio's Decameron, penned by those sheltering from pestilence, to modern novels exploring pandemic anxiety, storytellers have long sought to make sense of suffering. In museums, you might see 14th century woodcuts depicting plague victims, their gaunt figures frozen in time. These images echo in today's photojournalism, capturing human resilience in the face of crisis, inviting empathy rather than fear. Folk remedies have given way to evidence-based medicine, yet many traditional practices persist. The soothing ritual of a hot drink when we feel unwell, the comfort of a shared meal, and the care of loved ones by one's bedside. Hand washing, once ritualized with blessed water, became the cornerstone of infection control. Even our modern wellness movement, aromatherapy, herbal teas, and mindfulness, traces its roots to those medieval apothecaries who mixed hope with herbs in dimly lit shops. Despite advances in science and medicine, the heart of our response to crisis remains the same: compassion, community, and the human impulse to protect one another. In pandemics past and present, neighbors care for the sick, volunteers deliver food, and strangers offer warm words across windows. As you rest here now, perhaps swaddled in blankets, the lights dimmed, remember that these echoes of history are not distant echoes, but living rhythms. Each time we pause, breathe, and extend kindness, we honor those who faced darkness before us. And so our passage through plague-ridden alleys, phantom-haunted embankments, and healing rituals draws to a close. We've seen how a calm, measured approach to storytelling can illuminate history as darkest chapters without rousing fear, gently guiding the mind toward understanding and peace. Thank you for sharing this journey on sleep with me. May the soft glow of remembering soothe your thoughts and carry you into a restful sleep. Until we meet again, rest well and let the lessons of the past light your way forward.